What's up, YouTube? This is Bill with KO Bets. KO Bets is a show where we break down upcoming UFC events for the purposes of gambling. Apologize for the intro. The internet went out as soon as I went live, so it just cut out, so I'll keep an eye on that while I'm doing the stream. Maybe we'll just close this stuff, these other YouTube links, so maybe that'll help. I don't know. So we've got, let's see, what's on the itinerary. We're still at 67 subscribers. We've got to go over last week's UFC event. So let's do that. UFC Fight Night, Dawson taking on Bobby Green. Yeah, Bobby Green with the big round 1 KO. Dawson got caught. We got that wrong. We did take Joe Pyfer. We took Joaquin Buckley. We took Drew Dober. We took Bill Algeo, Carolina. I took Mateus. Great job. Good pick. If you pick Nate Maness and Bobby Green, good card. Demopoulos looked, really good as the plus 300 underdog as well. That was a good underdog pick. Aori, we took him. I think it was a close fight. I didn't really watch that one too closely. And then JJ Aldrich, another underdog, won. So overall, we picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. We went 6 and 4. So not a great week, but we'll bounce back this week. And this week we've got UFC Fight Night, Yusuff versus Barboza. Let's see, we've got a total of 11 fights to go over for this fight card, 22 fighters, so let's just get into it. We've got Ashley Yoder taking on Emily Ducote. I think it's Ducat. Yeah, Emily Ducat. Ashley's on a 2-fight losing streak. Same with Emily. Emily 1-2 in the promotion. Ashley 3-7. This is, in my opinion, a fight Emily should win pretty easily. She's going to be the better striker. I think if Ashley's going to win this fight, she's going to have to get takedowns and control the fight that way. If you look on paper, Emily's got a really good takedown defense at 90%. I think it's going to be tough for Ashley to get those takedowns and win this fight. I think it plays out mostly on the feet if that's the case, and then I think Emily's just much, much better. So I'm going to go with Emily to win this fight. As the better striker, I think it'll probably be a decision. Looking at the odds, Emily is the heavy favorite. Odds makers agree. They like this one to go the distance, and we like the Emily decision. Just assessing these lines, probably a no bet in my opinion. I don't even see same game parlay as an option. So yeah, I'd say no bet on this for me. Maybe I do. Yeah, it's not even that huge of an improvement, but maybe I would entertain the over 1.5 for a parlay or a round robin. Probably a round robin, if anything. Don't really like the idea of spending minus 395 on Emily, but she should win this fight very easily and convincingly on the feet. Chris Gutierrez taking on Alatengeli. So on Shirt Dog, they have the name reversed. Alatengeli. Helialatang? Huh. I'm sure, I see that pretty frequently where the the first name and last name are switched when you look between Sherdog and the UFC website. I wonder which one's right. I would guess the UFC's, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. Anyways, Chris Gutierrez is on a 1-fight losing streak. Alateng Haili is on a 2-fight win streak. He is 4-1-1 in the UFC. Chris Gutierrez 7-2-1 in the UFC. Looking at these two fighters, I think on the feet, Gutierrez is going to have an advantage. I do think Alateng is going to be the better grappler in this fight. Not sure if he's going to be able to get takedowns too frequently, and is he going to be able to get 2 takedowns in 2 different rounds and win minutes through control? I don't think that's going to happen. I think a lot of this fight's going to take place on the feet, and I really like Gutierrez. He's got kicks. He's going to have the better output. Alateng does carry some power, but I think this is a good matchup for Chris Gutierrez, and he just needs to be able to stuff the takedowns, and he should be good. Chris Gutierrez is the favorite, minus 278. If I had to pick an outcome, man, I guess I don't know really the lose by picture in this. Here we go. 1 submission loss, 4 decision losses. And a nice mix for Alateng. Man. Odds makers like this to go the distance. Interesting. I feel like that should almost be a pick'em. So I guess I might see a little bit of value on Chris Gutierrez KO. Would probably use the Gutierrez money line in a round robin play, but yeah, I think I kind of like that Gutierrez KO for plus 400. Just because I think that, and I think the distance call should be a little more of a pick'em, so I'm kind of like on the up is maybe a potential value play. The next fight we've got is Irina Alekseeva taking on Melissa Dixon. I gotta be honest and forthright, I do not like Irina. She does this, man, and it just makes my blood boil. It is she's on a 1-fight win streak. She's 1-0 in the UFC, but I do not like her. I think she's got bad cardio. I don't think she's really good anywhere. She came out aggressive against Stephanie, but yeah, I do not like her. Melissa Dixon, bad striker. I think she just needs to grapple in this fight. Just get Irina down, have top position, have control. I would encourage you all, do not bet on this, but I'm going to go with Melissa Dixon to just wrestle Irina, and hopefully Irina just gets fed to another prospect and is out of the UFC. I shouldn't wish that upon anyone. I just don't like her. I don't like her. Dixon is the favorite. Odds makers, it's a pick 'em for this to go the distance. I don't think it will, especially if Irina comes out like she did the last fight, like where she's going to try and end it early. Because if she doesn't do that, she's going to just be totally gassed and probably get submitted. So I kind of like the Melissa Dixon. She doesn't have any submission wins. So she's getting all ground and pound and decisions. And then Irina, yeah, like maybe we gotta be looking at some sort of finish in this fight for potential value. Scratch that. We shouldn't look for anything in this fight. It's not a great fight to bet on. Low level. Terrence McKinney taking on Brendan Murade. He's from, I think he's part of New England Cartel. Is he stepping in here on short notice? I can't figure out why McKinney's facing someone making their debut. Like, Brendan just fought, like his last fight he just fought, the opponent was awful. I mean, this dude's making his debut against Terrence McKinney, so it's like, oh, he got a rear naked choke in the first round. 11-22. And I didn't even see that initially. I was just going through to see who Young had fought, and I was like, damn, he loses a lot. A fighter with 5 total fights. This isn't bad, but it was a split decision. Yeah, like I don't think there's any world where Brandon really wins this fight. I don't really like this fight at all for Brendan. I'm gonna go with Terrence McKinney. We know Terrence is round 1 or bust typically. So I think it's just worth doing the under and taking some sort of round 1 finish, round props. Terrence McKinney round 1 is -200. Holy fuck. We might be priced out of this one, huh? I mean, because even if you try and guess submission or KO, like, I mean, you're still getting like a shit return, right? I wonder how this math works. So it's actually well, it's like you win the most, right? With that KO, you'd get like 65 cents back if you bet a unit on the KO and submission. You'd get that 65 cents back, but it's probably just makes more sense to do the round 1 and get 50 cents on the dollar. I don't think that's a bad bet. I think this is a great spot for Terrence McKinney. And then, worst case scenario, it gets out of round 1. Maybe you could live bet Brendan and he's down big. But I'm going to roll with Terrence McKinney round 1. Tanara Lisboa taking on Ravina Oliveira. Tanara Lisboa, she is 1-0 in the UFC. She beat Jessica Rose Clark, looked really good in that fight. She has a 100% finish rate. Taking on Ravina Oliveira, who's making her debut. Both of these fighters don't have the best resumes, both with less than 10 professional fights. just haven't fought the best level of competition. Tanera at least has Norma Dumont and Rose Clark on her resume. I think you can see that KO prowess for Ravina Oliveira. I think that I'm going to roll with Tanera, though, in this fight. I think she's going to have better output. I think she's going to have the better gas tank. She's the better grappler in this fight. I just don't think Ravina, the longer this fight goes, her cardio is going to hold up as well as Lisboa's. So I'm going to go with Tanera Lisboa. With that 100% finish rate and the fact that I think Ravina has been finished inside the distance, like, it kind of makes sense to do something inside the distance, no? Minus 325. Tanera is the favorite. Odds makers do not like this to go the distance. They like the Tanera submission. I kind of like that too, given the fact that Ravina does have a submission loss, I think, on her record. Yep. And she's dressed like Wonder Woman. Careful with the SureDog profile pictures. They're oftentimes a lot different than reality. We've got one of my personal favorites up next, Darren Elkins. I love the Damaged. The dude, one of my all-time favorite UFC fights, and I say this every time Darren Elkins fights, is him against Mirsad Bektic. He's getting his ass whooped for 2.5 rounds. Comes back, wins in like the final minute of the third round. I remember being at a friend's house, we're watching, and we're all just like screaming, cheering, but also I just remember being in awe because this guy Darren looked done. Darren looked done at certain points in that fight, and then he just pulls it out. And I think that's a great fight to highlight the type of fighter Darren Elkins is. Good wrestling, terrific volume, durable, persistent. I say durable. I should say tough, pressure, persistent, will, heart. He's got it all. He's just, at this point in his career, he's not super good, but he holds a special spot in my rankings and on my list of fighters that I enjoy watching. And I really like Darren Elkins. TJ Brown, he's got all the tools to win this. I mean, I said all those nice things about Darren Elkins. He's not the best fighter anymore, right? He's not as durable as he was. He just doesn't take punches as well as he used to. He's always getting wobbled and cracked, it seems like, as of late. I think TJ Brown has all the tools to win this fight. But the issue is like, this'll, if he's not able to put away Darren Elkins, regardless of who you are as a fighter, it's going to be a test for you, right? It's going to be a tough fight in that second round, third round. TJ Brown does have good wrestling, but I actually think I like Darren Elkins a little bit in this fight to potentially be the better wrestler just because of the cardio factor. Wrestling's really tough, and I think, given that both fighters are grapplers, I just would favor Darren Elkins a little bit more. I'd favor TJ Brown in the earlier rounds. I'm rolling with the dog here. I'm rolling with Darren Elkins, but I do think that TJ Brown should win this fight, but I mean, I'm getting plus odds on this. I'd say even I'd even take a look at like Darren Elkins and over 1.5 rounds, because I think that's where he'll be more dangerous. So I kind of like that. And then yeah, I'm not a huge fan of TJ Brown. Let's see what he's been doing. Lost to Bill Algeo, got super tired, choked out in that fight. Yeah, I don't think he's really fought the best level of competition. It's a decision for TJ Brown. I think if TJ Brown wins, it's probably a decision. And it'll just be a tough fight for him. Christian Rodriguez taking on Cameron Saman. Christian Rodriguez came in a little bit overweight this week, like 4 pounds, I think. He's on a 2-fight win streak, 2-1 in the UFC, coming off of a win of Raul Rosas Jr. Cameron Saman, 3-fight win streak, 3-0 in the UFC. Christian Rodriguez has definitely been more tested. He is older, though. Even with the same amount of fights, I think he's a couple years older. He's fought Raul Rosas Jr., lost Jonathan Pierce, but obviously can grapple. You saw that in both of those fights, and he performs really well as a grappler. I do think Cameron Saman is going to have a striking advantage, and these are just two really good prospects that are coming together to fight. So it should be a really entertaining fight. I am going to roll. I just think Cameron Saman's a little better. I think he's very well-rounded. Definitely needs to avoid being taken down and held down, but I think he's able to bounce up quickly if he is taken down, and I think he's able to just be the more efficient and more impressive striker in this fight. I do think we could see this go to a decision. I kind of like the decision personally. I'm going to roll with the underdog again, Cameron Saman. And odds makers like it to go the distance, and they like the Rodriguez decision. I'm more on the Saman decision side. I might sprinkle that decision, but I'll probably place more of a money line bet if that's what I choose to do. Andre Petroski taking on Michel Pereira. Andre Petroski's coming off of both of these guys are streaking. 5-fight win streak, 5-0 in the UFC. Has beaten some really good grapplers: Gerald Mearshart, Turman, Maximov. Michel Pereira, he's on a 5-fight win streak, 6-2 in the promotion. And he's been fighting strikers: Ponzinibbio, Fiallo, Roberts. This is grappler against striker. Petroski looks really, really strong. Michel Pereira, he looks really, really strong. He's definitely refined his not refined. He's reeled in his antics inside the octagon. He's definitely not what am I trying to say? He's definitely not as reckless in the early round. Once was, probably because he got super tired in some fights and probably lost because of that. I think Michel Pereira missed weight weren't we supposed to see him fight Stephen Thompson, and he missed weight? And then Stephen didn't want to fight him, which I kind of agree with Stephen there, but I'm sure he came in on weight this time after that happened. But he's taking on, it's definitely a downgrade in opponent for him. He's taking on this grappling profile, and to be honest, I'm kind of been back and forth on this. I think Michel Pereira is the better striker, Petroski's the better grappler. They both get tired, but I think Petroski can, be better in the later rounds, especially if he can get Pereira down and get on top of him. And then I think Pereira can be really dangerous early and potentially hurt an Andre Petroski. So I've been back and forth on this one. I think ultimately I'm going to settle on Michel Pereira to win. I think he is super big and strong. I know Petroski is, but I think he is as well. I think he avoids the takedowns. He hasn't really fought a grappler like Petroski, so it's hard to put too much stock in the 94% takedown defense, but around to avoid being taken down. And then if he can keep this fight standing, he might hurt Petroski. So I'm going to roll with Michel Pereira. He is the favorite. Odds makers do not like this to go the distance. They like the Michel Pereira KO. I'd have to probably agree, and I'd probably even look at sprinkling round one. Just no round robins, no parlays with that. I think this is a closer fight, so I'm not opposed to going with the dog here for what, it's almost like you'll know, right, fairly quickly in the fight who's, well, I shouldn't say that because Michel could come out hot and just slow down drastically. Same with Petroski. But I think you'll know who's leading the dance early, I should say. Is Petroski going for takedowns? A lot of takedowns in round one. Is he able to get it, hold him down? Or is Michel able to stuff one, two of them early, keep it on the feet, and hit Andre with some combos? I think you'll know pretty early who's going to be who's going to win that one. I really do. But I agree. I don't think it's going to go to a decision. I think Petroski could get a submission. I think Pereira, the KO is most likely. This is another tough one, in my opinion. I think it's just because I'm a big fan of both of these guys, Jonathan Martinez and Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez is coming off of the first round KO loss to Rob Font. Has a win over Davey Grant. Otherwise, hasn't really fought anyone besides Font and Grant, in my opinion. Jonathan Martinez has definitely been around a little bit longer, 9-3 in the promotion on a 5-fight win streak. Giannis is 5-1 in the promotion. And Martinez just, man, the legs are crazy. And he kicks like a horse. The body kicks, the shin on shin, the upper leg, calf kicks. It's just the knee, the kick right on the knee. I think he usually wears the ankle wraps too. The dude is just a dangerous kicker. And then Giannis, slick boxing, really skilled, good power. These are two fighters I really enjoy watching, and I think this will be an interesting bout stylistically. I would give I would have to give Giannis a slight advantage on the feet, but I think that's strictly from like an aesthetic standpoint. Like, he's going to have more output. He's going to be boxing. He's going to be hitting Jonathan Martinez more in the face, whereas Martinez is just going to be slugging him in the leg, the lead leg, with kicks, the body, and then going upstairs as well. I think this is going to be just a brutal, brutal fight. I almost want to go with Martinez. I think I'm going to have to go with Martinez. Just because we see it all the time. The box, and I'm not saying Giannis is super heavy on that lead leg, but he does have a boxing heavy style where your center of gravity is more on that front foot, and yeah, I think he's just gonna get it kicked really bad. That could hamper his mobility, his how he moves around, and then Martinez is pretty tough, man. I need to look it up, but so he does have a KO loss. That was to Davy Grant. I think I remember that. Grant really sat down on that punch. But I mean, he's tough. He's a tough, durable fighter. I think this is one that, and Giannis is very tough too. I think this is one that probably goes to a decision. And I think it's just really good matchmaking. This is a pick'em right now. And yeah, I think I'm going to roll with Jonathan Martinez. And I'm going to roll with the Martinez decision. People like the Giannis KO. I don't love that outcome, to be honest. I think I like the Giannis decision or Martinez decision. But I'm going to roll with Jonathan Martinez as the winner. The co-main event we've got is Jennifer Maia taking on Viviane Araújo. Jennifer Maia, 2-fight win streak, 6-5 in the promotion. Viviane, 2-fight losing streak, 5-4 in the promotion. I think this is just going to be a really close fight. I don't know if I'm particularly interested in taking. I have to look at the lines, but yeah, I mean, we've got Jennifer Maia, 6-5, Viviane, 5-4. I think Viviane's the better fighter. I think her biggest flaw is her gas tank and how she slows down in fights. That's a little bit scary, but I do like her to win round 1. From there, if she's able to get takedowns, Jennifer Maia has really awful takedown defense. So I guess I'm going to lean towards Viviane, but man, it's just it's a sketchy fight for sure. I'm going to roll with Araújo to win this fight. This to go the distance. I mean, that would have probably been my only bet that I would have entertained here, so I don't think we're going to be placing any bets on that card. Just priced out of the distance result at -400, and to be honest, don't feel like really messing with it. For the final fight, we've got Sodiq Yusuff taking on Edson Barboza. Sodiq Yusuff is coming into this fight on a 2-fight win streak, 6-1 in the promotion. Edson Barboza just beat Billy Quarantillo with first round knockout, so is on a 1-fight win streak, 17-11 in the promotion. And just like, I love just looking at obviously like a career like Edson Barboza. He's obviously seen some people, but it's just crazy to highlight everyone he's fought. So the wins: Bobby Green, Paul Felder, Anthony Pettis, Gilbert Melendez, Beneil Dariush, Dan Hooker, Billy Quarantillo. Losses: Bryce Mitchell, Giga Chikadze, Dan Ige, Paul Felder, Justin Gaethje, Kevin Lee, Habib, Tony Ferguson, Michael Johnson, Donald Cerrone. Just, has fought so many people. Really good striker, very dangerous and powerful, as we saw the last fight against Billy Q. But he's definitely not the Edson of old. I think Sodiq Yusuff as the younger fighter coming in here is just going to be a little bit faster, a little bit better on the feet, and I don't think this one's going the distance between these two. We've seen them both get hurt before, so I'm going to take Sadiq inside the distance. I just don't get caught by Edson Barboza's power. We'll have to look at the odds here. Sadiq is the favorite. Odds makers don't like this to go this. Sadiq plus 215, Barboza plus 215, and just a knockout result is minus 165. I kind of like that as a potential parlay round robin piece. But I like Sadiq in this fight for sure. So that concludes our UFC Fight Night. Sadiq versus Edson Barboza. Let's look at what's trending. Wemby. Bro, if this guy, if he can stay in the lane, he's gonna be unstoppable. I wasn't sure watching like his French tape. Like I don't want to see him just like chilling on the perimeter. I know he's got tremendous skill, but like he's got to improve his shot making ability. But this dude is gonna be unreal. He's gonna. I'm convinced he's. I mean, just watching him, like, look at that. Did you see that transition take? Look at that shit. And I think Sochan or whatever his name is a great, Sohan is a great running mate. I mean, has 4 blocks tonight. I think the two most valuable things you can do on a basketball court defensively, block shots, be a deterrent at the rim. I think offensively right now it's just knocking down threes. So if he can, I know he's profiles like he's got the ability to shoot threes. I think he needs to get more efficient there. He shot like 29% in France. If he can get more efficient there, like he's gonna be probably the best player in the NBA in 5 years. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't really want to get into the whole Middle East conflict, but it's just, you know, obviously there's innocent lives that are always caught up in the destruction of war, and it's not fair. You know, it's not right for leaders to put their population in a situation like that. You know, in a perfect world, we could figure everything out without, you know, violence. But, you know, I think it's, you know, just sad to understand that there will be a lot of civilian casualties. So, you know, just prayers go out to the innocent, and prayers go out for world peace. So Jim Jordan is, I think, was nominated to be the next Speaker of the House, which I love. Jim Jordan, former wrestler, collegiate wrestler, and just I just like it. I think he's a normal guy. I think he reflects a lot of my ideals, and you know, I appreciate that he is one of the America First kind of politicians that we have. And, you know, I'm sure he takes political donations, as all politicians do, but I don't think he's too many people, like, I don't perceive him as someone who's like super corrupted and, you know, lobbied, been paid to a degree that he owes anyone favors, whether it's a country, a corporation, an industry, whatever it is. I just, it's not how I perceive him to be, and I think he's a really, really strong leader. So I like Jim Jordan a lot. Tulane is playing Memphis. I'm not sure what the score is here, but also kind of clashing. Right? Green and blue. The Blackhawks have Connor Bedard. He seems like he's going to be really good. It was exciting to see him get his first goal this week. You know, I think we got to talk about the USADA and UFC situation. I agree with like what Hunter Campbell said and Dana White said. Like, I don't know what it is with. There's just certain people who don't get like how business relationships work. You know, I think of. I mean, ultimately, like Hunter Campbell is basically saying, you know, USADA was falling short of their promised deliveries that were, you know, requested by the UFC, and it's been years in the making. You know, they expressed that USADA on a U.S. scale is very reasonable to work with, but on a global scale is extremely difficult because of their relationship with a lot of national anti-doping agencies, just through like Olympic kind of relationships. They expressed like they just aren't advancing with the times and aren't really, like, they're still recording their tests on paper. There's no geo-tracking system to understand where fighters are so they can schedule drug tests. There's no and this is all stuff that was requested years ago, and it's just like kind of sounds like a dinosaur of an organization. They could be really good at what they do, but they're joining Drug Free Sport International, that's the anti-doping agency for like the NFL, the MLB, FIFA, FIBA, like basically any private organization in the sports realm. They're the anti-doping governing, the third-party anti-doping company that's working with all these people. So it's just, they're moving on with a different company. USADA took to Twitter earlier in the week, or whatever they did, the press, and they released a statement about the relationship ending over Conor McGregor's return status, which just was like, this is where the business relationship thing comes in. Like, you don't, like, even if it is true, you can't air dirty laundry like that. You're about to take a 35% hit to your revenue, and the UFC's never going to be a customer again or an option for you again. Who are you going to work with in 2024 that's going to allow you to keep the same number of employees, generate the same amount of revenue, and, you know, quite frankly, as the CEO, like, what reason is there to keep you around if like this is what happened under your leadership helm, you know? So it just, first of all, it wasn't true, so it's bad for them to, like, it was low, unethical, just wrong for them to pin it on an athlete. Um, and then I just think like in that landscape, I don't know. Dana always talks about like no one in the industry goes to him for advice, but if someone went to him for advice, and the UFC's built up a really, really impressive anti-doping program, if they've, it's like less than 1% of tests come back positive, and the number's just been going down and down. So they've done a really good job of cleaning up the sport. And if someone was like, hey, Dana, what do you recommend to do that? You have a track record of helping organizations like the MLB, the UFC, get a grip on their steroid problem. But guess what? Now they're going to tell you, like, never work with you guys. Never work with you guys. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's probably warranted. So I think, I mean, I don't mean to shit on Ariel Helwani, but I think there's something to be said, too, about just being difficult to work with, right? Like, there's a reason he's not around the company on a day-to-day basis, and that's just because, like, he doesn't have the well-being of the company in mind, and that's fine. He's best served as a an independent journalist in that sense, but there's something to be said about being difficult to work with and not feeling like you can trust the party across the table from you, that they're going to do things. And it's not a control thing either. It's a trust thing, right? It's an understanding that there are maybe some fuck ups along the way, but stuff is being done to help grow the brand, grow the company, and keeping its best interests in mind. Not to, and it's, money isn't everything, but, hit pieces, hit articles, just stuff like that. Like, you can't expect to be, publicly making statements about someone or an organization and then turn around and expect to work with them in any capacity ever. So, I think that was probably, it sounds like, most of the issue. But I've ranted quite a bit. We've been on about an hour. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Like I said, I went live, turned on the theme song, and, it just disconnected, I think, while we were playing this theme song. So I had to reboot it back up, new link. I appreciate you tuning in. If you like this sort of content, please like the video, like the stream. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support tremendously. We're going to call it an evening. I hope you all have a happy weekend, and I'll see you next Friday for UFC, what is it, 294 or 296? $294. Yeah, what a fucking shakeup on this, right, guys? Islam Volk, Kamaru Hamzat. This is why I think Izzy's taking a little break too. I think because Dana's basically Hamzat is going to get a shot at Sean Strickland. So I think knowing that, Izzy's just taking a break, and he's going to let this all settle, and then probably step in, and his first fight will be for the belt, or he'll get Driscus at some point. But it is a bummer he's not interested in entertaining that fight right now. Magomed Ankalaev, Johnny Walker, Ikram, Warley Alves. Damn, this is a good card. Love Javid Basharat. The Basharats are great. Yeah, it should be a really, really good fight card. So I'm looking forward to it. Oh, I love Nathaniel Wood. Yeah, this will be an excellent fight card. So I'm looking forward to that. I will have my show live on Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I appreciate you all tuning in. Have a good night. Thank you.